I'm going to speak some forbidden, unspeakable truths in this video. If you're a truth-hating snowflake, flee now. Like so many, I've been following the quadruple murder case, the horrific quadruple murder case at the University of Idaho that took place on November 13th. And in all of the interviews I've watched of forensic psychologists, FBI agents, and all the rest of it, not one person has mentioned a glaring fact about this case, because political correctness forbids mentioning this fact. And I'm suspecting that right now, you're suspecting what I'm thinking of, but you don't dare say it out loud, because the modern mind is at war with truth, at war with reality, even when it spits in our face daily, like the truth of, for example, the anti-papacy of Francis. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the pictures of the female victims. They constantly presented themselves immodestly and in sexualized poses. Oh, but we're not supposed to notice this. Of course we're not supposed to mention it, but we're not even supposed to notice this. Yet, if their parents, and they apparently didn't teach them this, but if their parents had taught them modesty in their attire and in their manner, they might still be alive. Now, I know it's forbidden to say what I've just said, because you're blaming the victim. Yet the truth is that victims do often bear responsibility for at least putting themselves in the position that led a degenerate loser to hurt or kill them. Modesty might have saved their lives. And so, since I haven't seen anyone else mention this anywhere, I decided to bring it up in this comment thread here. And I said, regarding her father, now you might call this insensitive and all the rest of it. Fine. That doesn't change the truth of my words. And I said, regarding Kaylee Gonsalves' father, he should have taught her how to dress and present herself modestly. She then wouldn't have attracted the burning lust of the killer. Oh, how dare I say such a thing? And of course, as I knew would happen, the first comment, unfounded accusation and very unsympathetic attitude. The second one, by someone named Sandy Underpants. If he only had her wearing a hijab, men would look at her the way they look at Ilham Omar. Oh, what a zinger. And then I said, a hijab would have been unnecessary. Modesty doesn't require this extreme. Yet if she had worn one, she would still be alive. I'd bet on that. Anyway, it's sad that the girls consistently presented themselves as fully sexualized hussies in their pictures, and they did. That's a fact. Look at the pictures. I was considering posting the pictures in this video, but I haven't done so. Why? Because they're immodest. They're indecent. And then I said, this fully sexualized presentation led to their deaths. I'd bet on that. That if they had not dressed and presented themselves as they did, they would not have attracted the attention of the freak that killed them. I continue in this comment. Moreover, they caused many men to fall into the mortal sin of lust. No question about that. Absolutely. They're paying for this now for eternity. Are you also a hussy? You see, because Sandy Underpants, no doubt, wants to justify her own whorish presentation to the world. And I said, they're paying for this now for eternity. There's every indication that they're in hell right now. Not heaven, not purgatory. Look at the way they presented themselves. And let's not forget that Ethan and Xana were unmarried and sleeping together at the time. They were fornicators. This is really the great tragedy of this case, that these 4 souls, young souls, babies, died in the state, most likely, of mortal sin. Every indication is that they died in the state of mortal sin and are therefore now burning eternally in hell. That's the real tragedy of this case, and yet no one else will mention it. At least I haven't heard them. If you have, let me know. Put it in the comments below. Now, you accuse me of insensitivity. No, I'm fully sensitive to the horror of this case. The absolute horror. Those are truly insensitive who don't recognize what I'm talking about, and therefore who won't teach their daughters to dress and present themselves modestly, and who therefore might not help save their lives. Mine is the truly compassionate position. So spare me any virtue signaling that you're tempted to spew in the comments below. True love for your daughters, true love for women, demands teaching them to dress modestly and to present themselves modestly in this world so full of evil, and therefore so full of men not only hooked on pornography and therefore consumed with lust at all times, but also men with murderous intent. And by simply teaching your daughters modesty, modesty in how they dress, modesty in how they present themselves, in how they move, and how they speak, in everything about their manner, this teaching alone might save their lives. And to fail to teach them this might make you feel somehow morally superior, according to the low base standards of this world, morally superior. But guess what? It won't help to save their lives. Let's continue to the comments. Okay, predictably, someone said, don't put blame on the girls. Their families are hurting. Of course, that's true. How can you hurt them more? No, I'm not hurting their families more. Okay, this man, her father, is putting himself out there in the media. Now, I believe that any dignified parent in this situation would not speak to the media. But he's putting himself out there again and again and again. And I refuse to accept the idea that somehow he's immune to what I'm saying. But I say again, a dignified parent right now would be in silence, prayer, and contemplation. Part of that contemplation would be this: what did I do that might have contributed to the murder of my daughter? For example, did I fail to teach her modesty? Oh, what a hard question. A question that requires silence and contemplation, not incessant talking to media scum. All right, back to the comments. My response 5 minutes ago to Linda. And I said basically what I've just said here. By habitually presenting themselves to the world immodestly and with sexual posturing, look at the many pictures. They ignited burning lust in many men. One of these men was bound to be a total degenerate, like Brian. It's a crying shame that their parents apparently taught them nothing about dressing and acting modestly. If they had, they'd likely still be alive. Your distaste for these facts doesn't change these facts. People today talk about keeping it real. No, what I'm saying is keeping it real, really real. And modern minds can't stand it. But I will continue it. And then I say, good can come from all of this horrific evil, however, if parents look to this case and then teach their daughters to dress modestly and to conduct themselves modestly. The voice dictation messed up there in the comment. I'll edit that. All political correctness must be cast aside. It's about saving lives. It's also about loving God, about obeying the commandments of God, about not inflaming men with lust, and women those who say, "Oh, it's his fault. If you're inflamed with lust, oh, it's the guy's fault." False and brutal. That attitude is brutal. It's uncharitable. Women, you don't know the effect that women dressed like these women and women presenting themselves like these women. You don't know the effect that has on a man, on a normal, straight man. Or you do know this effect, and that's precisely why you do it. Evil. And if you had any real love for humanity, you would understand this, at least intellectually, and you would embrace modesty. And by doing so, you might just save your lives. Have my comments here offended you? I understand that. I understand that you feel an obligation to be offended by my comments. That's the propaganda of today, and most likely you've been fully propagandized. But for those few of you who might be able to shed the propaganda and get over your obligatory indignation, I urge you to embrace the truth that is spoken in this video. Embrace truth, not comfort.